My name's Liam, and yes, I'm here for a completely different project today. Look, you all know me for having a successful financial channel. But look, I've started a new project completely. I'm not going to go away from the Hustle Brothers, but today I'm starting Liam's Raw Opinions. Look, today I thought, how will I start off this journey? I want to be a mate with a mic. Now, if any of you are affected by anything, make sure you always seek professional help, professional advice. Look, I am by no means any medical professional or a psychologist. I just enjoy what I do. And I get a lot of people reaching out to me with different problems. I thought, why not create a channel around it? So yeah, this is Liam's Raw Opinions. Guys, I'm going to tell you today about how I lost everything. Now, this video was recorded a long time ago, so do forgive the background that I have on this video. It was using the green screen. So without further ado, let's get right to it.
Right, this is going to be a really hard video for me. So I do apologise if I have to cut or edit throughout because I may need to stop. But I want to thank you all for being here right now, guys. I'm going to tell you my story because my dad died. So guys, this video is going to be completely different to any of the other videos you have watched on this channel. We're not specifically going to talk about the stock market. It's going to be more focused on people themselves. We're going to tie a little bit into the stock market. But whether you're a content creator, you're just someone that is hard at work, or you just have a family, this is my story, and this is how my dad died and what it taught me. So guys, I'm going to start off with why this is now coming out. So you may have noticed over the last week, we've not been as consistent with the videos as I would have liked. So I pride myself on this channel being a daily update channel where we constantly talk. And that's part of the story. So the 21st of March was my dad's birthday. And that's where it's really hit me. So if you remember all the way back in August, and if we speak about, I say before how I often recall Rocket Lab's price of being $2.98 on the 1st of August. The reason I knew it was $2.98 on the 1st of August is that is the day my dad died. So we're going to get into that. Now we're going to get into what happened. We're going to get into what it's taught me, why I carry on with this channel, and just what I can teach you. I'm not saying by anything this is anything like some people experience. That is not what this is about at all. It's more just me airing my thoughts, because it was really, we crossed the 2,000 subscriber mark around the time of his birthday, and it just really hit home around then because he was the one that told me I should start a YouTube channel around teaching people around stocks or talking about my passion. By no means am I a confident man. When I grew up, I was selectively mute. I wouldn't talk to anyone up until the age of 12. So, thinking back, that little child, if he looked at me now, broadcasting to the 2,000 subscribers, and we're still growing, we're going to get into where we can see this channel going forward, and are we going to continue doing what we're doing. So I first want to start off by saying, if you've made it this far, thank you for caring. I think that's what's kept us going in this community, having people here every day knowing that they care, they listen. So I want to thank you for that. And feel free to drop your own stories in the comments. How it shaped you, not only in the stock market, but as a person throughout life. How it's altered your life. So what I might do, I might jump back to what happened that day on the 1st of August. So, as you may be aware, I am in my late 20s. My dad was 56. And I'll be honest with you, I work at home. So my job requires me to work at home. So I'm constantly on a laptop. So this studio I have here is also my work desk as well. So Dad was originally the one that told me it would be a good idea for me to express my passion, find more people that are in love with this sector as much as I am. And I want to thank him for that. So, as you may be fully aware, both myself and Rhys are constantly pumping out content on the daily. Contrary to belief, these videos are not quick to make. You have to edit, you have to create the thumbnail, you have to think about what you're going to talk about, you have to do the research. So it does take up an awful lot of my time. So I do work my 9 to 5, and then I come straight on and be a content creator. And this is where it kind of upsets me, because I was so pushed on trying to get this channel to grow and show him that his idea that he instilled in me was going to succeed. Dad always said to me, if you want what everyone else can't have, you need to do what everyone else won't do. And that is why we pump out on the daily originally. We wanted to produce as much volume as we could. We wanted to be there when others weren't. We wanted to show that consistency pays off. But there's a new reason why we pump out every day that I'm going to get onto going forward. So as you can imagine, working a 9 to 5 and then trying to compete with full-time content creators, it does take a toll on the body. You do get quite tired, but you need to push through tiredness. But there's another back step, and this will apply to anyone that has 2 jobs, has a family that they're trying to support, but also has to push for their full-time job, maybe doing overtime. They put production in front so they can help themselves, help their family. So that fateful day, well, what I'll do, I'll go back to the day before. So me and Rhys used to be quite big in the gym. And the only bit of comedy I will include in this now is you can see I am not big into the gym anymore. But we used to be quite big into the gym. And the day before he died, so this would have been the 31st of July, 2024, I was out on a run. And I remember before I left, my dad was in the sitting room and he was watching TV. But thinking back now, and I don't know, is that your mind playing tricks on you? But he was just laying a weird way. And he asked me, am I taking my younger brother with me? Because he used to come on runs with me. And I just thought it was quite strange. He was like pushing and pushing to see would my younger brother come. And he asked me a younger brother and he wouldn't. But that was just a strange thing I remember. So I remember going on that run, and I have an audio book in my ear at the time, and it was constantly how to improve my channel, how to improve my YouTube. It might be daily news I might be listening to on YouTube around the stock market. And I always remember I went for, was it 4 extra laps? Because I was just so intrigued in this podcast I was listening to. And I remember coming home and Dad met me at the front door, and it was more of a joke in kind of way. And he was like, "What took you so long?" And we went into the kitchen, and one of my other brothers was there at the time. And we're big into Arsenal Football Club. So for any of you in the US, quite a big soccer team. We're so into it. And I remember Dad saying, "Have you seen Arsenal's new jersey? And we should order them." And I remember looking it up there and then, and we were on about, can't wait for the new season. Because it was only 3 weeks away or so. And then at the time, my mother was across in England because her father is quite sick at the moment. So she was over there, and we used to laugh sometimes because when Mum would go over there, it'd be a bit of a lad's house and there'd be a bit of crack and banter, you know, just, it was like once Mum was gone, we were all headless. We didn't know what we were doing, but it was quite funny anyway. So I went down to bed that night. It would have been around 11 o'clock. So I woke up the next morning. Dad was gone to work. I was working myself. And then I finished at 5:30. So Dad wouldn't normally get home till 7:15. And I remember I had a big video the day before, or was it one of the streams? And it would have been one of our first streams. And I remember I woke up, it was 9:15. Now, if anyone knew my dad, he would have butchered me if he knew I was asleep till that time in the middle of the day. He was a man for, you get up during the day. And too right, you get up and you do what you need to do. And I remember my mum rang me, and this is where the story changes. So my mum rang me from England, and she asked me, was Dad home? And where my bed was, I could see outside, and I could see his van. And I said, yeah, he must be home. But he hadn't came down to me, but I said he must be home. So me and Mum were talking away, and she was like, "Oh, right, I've been ringing him, but he hasn't answered." And my dad, he's one of those, like, when you ring him, he will answer. It doesn't matter. And that was the one thing I loved about him. No matter how big a problem was, you could always count on him. So Mum asked me to run down, and no, tell a lie. I said to Mum, "Do you want me to run down and give the phone to Dad?" And she was like, no, he must be asleep. If he's asleep, leave him be, he'll ring back later. And I said, no, it might be as easy. And I didn't expect nothing. So I walked down there and got to the sitting room. And from what I could see, my dad was asleep. And I said, "Dad," no answer. And I said, "Dad," and there was no answer. And then I walked over while Mum was still on the phone. And Mum was saying to me, "Oh, look, if he's asleep, leave him." And I remember Mum saying to me, "Has my nan left her bank card down the room?" And as she said that, I grabbed my dad's hand, and it was cold. And just out of pure panic, I said to Mum, I said, "Oh, I can't find it. Wait a minute, I need to do something. I'll ring you later, I'll ring you later." And I hung up. So at that moment, I sort of knew. So then, for any of you that don't know, your body goes into absolute fight or flight. I always thought that if something like that happened, I didn't think I'd be able to deal with it. But your body goes into pure fight or flight. And I quickly ran for the house phone to call the emergency services. And as this is all happening, my youngest brother has heard the commotion going on. And he runs out, "What's happened?" I remember in pure panic, I was like, "There's something wrong with Dad, there's something wrong with Dad." So he runs in and he's more or less shaking him. And next thing, Dad drops. So we've had to pull him back onto the sofa and lift him down and immediately commence CPR on him. For anyone that has never experienced that before, it's kind of a trance you're in. You're looking down at him, thinking about everything, thinking about when I had no friends. He was my friend. When I had problems, he was my guardian. I'll take you back to the story in a minute. But my whole life, I've found it hard to fit in. And then I went to college in the UK, which was good. I can't say anything bad about it. I really enjoyed my time there. But when I came back home, I struggled to make friends again. And I think it was that constant movement, but I felt like I constantly had to move away to try and build myself up. But the one thing that always remained consistent was Dad. He was always there for me. He was always the shoulder to lean onto. He supported our family through absolutely everything, and we're going to get on to that. But we'll jump back to the story of what happened. So I remember what was 15 minutes waiting for the ambulance to come. You would think you would be tired from chest compressions. But trust me, guys, when a loved one's life's on the line, you won't be. I remember when they took over from me, the only thing I can explain was I didn't really know what was happening, but it was just this extreme thirst. All I wanted was water. At the time, I wasn't tired, but it was this extreme thirst came over me all of a sudden. And I remember my younger brother ran and got me a drink. I remember them trying everything. I don't want to go into details because it was quite graphic. But seeing the man that was never sick, that was always there, that always knew what to do in times like this, he would have been the man I would always call if something like this occurred. But seeing him so vulnerable on the ground, the man you look up to, I want to explain, I think we all think when we are children that your dad is the strongest man in the world, or that he's the best at everything. But at that moment, that feeling comes back. You think, you are the strongest man in the world. This cannot be you. You can't be on the ground. We need you. What are we going to do without you? And thinking, how are we going to cope as a family? I remember my youngest brother crying and saying, "Is he going to be okay?" And I remember reassuring him, "Look, the paramedics see this all the time." And then one of the neighbours came in and they rang my mother, so I couldn't even get to my mother first. And she was in hysterics, and I just felt for her because she couldn't be there at this time. And then I had to ring my grandfather, and I'm very, very close to my grandfather. And he came down, and I thought his legs were going to go. And at that moment, you kind of realize, like, now is your time to step up. But it's that inner belief. You don't know you have it. You don't. Dad would have been the man. I came for reassurance. So then we're going to flip it back to, you can fully remember we went offline on this channel for 2 months. I didn't have the confidence. I didn't really care about YouTube. I didn't care about the stock market. And I'll be dead honest with you. I remember at the time, and this is one thing, I don't know if I've ever said it to Rhys enough, but one thing I thank him for. I always tell you how big invested I am in Rocket Lab. And Rocket Lab was at its all-time low. But at that moment, I just wanted to sell everything. I didn't care about nothing. I just wanted to give all my money to my family. I wanted to protect. I wanted to cocoon. And I remember Rhys saying, there's no way you're selling. There's no way. And he wouldn't let me. There was no way. And I all my life, I can't thank him enough for convincing me not to. But I didn't want to know the stock market. I didn't want to know YouTube. I didn't want to know work. I didn't care. I got so angry. And then when we came back, I didn't want to disclose it on YouTube. I just wanted to carry on. I didn't like that people treating us differently. Like every time we go out to town or anything, you'd constantly be reminded how you cope and sometimes you prefer not having to talk about it. So I'll be dead honest with you, then me and one of the community here, Dylan Rogers, got speaking on Discord, and I did disclose around the time then what was happening. He was fully supportive of it. He's always been there when I need it, and this is why I do honestly class him as a friend. And this is what I love about this community. It just keeps growing. It just keeps getting bigger. But whether you're into stocks, whether you're a content creator, this is where I think Kevin Hart said it. The sun will always shine again. You'll always rise. So when you put actions in place, you need to get back to your life, but life will never be the same. But I'll tell you the reason I came back to YouTube. There's 2 reasons. Number 1, you are my family. You always are here when I need to speak about something. It does take my mind off, even though I don't want my mind taken off it as such. It sounds weird. But when I focus on stocks, it kind of blocks it out my everyday life, and then I can come back to it after, and it sort of relaxes me. It helps me more or less refresh myself. But the real reason I continued with YouTube was because not only was it my goal, it was his goal. He wanted me to succeed in this. He believed that we could succeed in this. I continue to do it because not only with my job, not only with my stocks, but I hope to grow a community that I can support my family after such a loss like this, I just think my dad would not be prouder if I can create something that would just keep my family safe, financially free forever. Whether you are a content creator, whether it's to do with stocks, whether it's working, whether it's just being there for a friend, family, the one thing you can control, there is many variables you can't control. You can't control the weather, you can't control the stock market, you can't control who is going to view your content. But the one thing you can control is your consistency and your ability to show up every day. If you show up every single day, just through the law of averages, you will be there on not only your good days, you'll be there on your worst days, but the worst days are what you learn the most. And I feel like, however bad it sounds, I think I've grown more as a person with this massive life change than I have in the last 10 years. It's made me see sides of myself, show my abilities more than I could have ever asked for. But you'll always be there on your best days. And as Kevin Hart says, the sun will always shine again. Guys, I'm not going to ask you to subscribe. I'm not going to ask you to like. But the one thing I do want to say to you is thank you for listening to my story.